From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, tonight, 17 fires are actively burning across the state. From the air and from the ground, Montana crews worked to squelch the fires after yesterday's high winds pushed flames and forced evacuations. We begin tonight near Roundup, where the Bobcat fire has now burned 12,000 acres. Governor Bullock said this afternoon that several structures have burned due to the fire, but officials on scene are not yet confirming that with Q2. Heavy winds have caused challenges and evacuations remain in place, including a new one late this afternoon. Q2's David J. is in Roundup with the latest.
Jeanelle, we're out here at the Roundup Community Center where the Red Cross has set up an evacuation center there for people that have had to leave their homes. They did put another evacuation order into place at about 4 o'clock out at the Hidden Springs subdivision, and they still have the other evacuations in place that they put in yesterday. They're also telling us that on South Fattig Road, they're asking just emergency vehicles out of that area at this point. So they've got that evacuation there as well as at the mine. And the fire is up to about 12,000 acres, as you mentioned. Yesterday, DES coordinator Andrew Harper had told us that it looked like it was about a 4.5 mile by 1.5 mile area that they were looking at. Lots of smoke that you can see south of Roundup. As we were coming up here, you could see one of the helicopters go in, and it kind of just disappears there. And Harper tells us that that's causing some problems for them also as they're trying to confirm whether or not they've lost any structures. The visibility's pretty bad. He thinks there may have been some structures lost, but they can't quite confirm that with some of the airplane looks that they're able to take a look at that. But out here at Roundup, the air is pretty clear, and they're out here at the community center to take care of all the people there that need to leave and come up to Roundup at the evacuation center. In Roundup, David J. for MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, David. Now, David also says that Muscle Shoals County Disaster and Emergency Services says there are 3 divisions operating with multiple air resources to fight the flames. Once again, South Fattig Creek Road is only open to emergency traffic. Well, residents in Jordan, Montana remain on edge tonight after a wildfire temporarily forced the evacuation of the entire town. The fire has now burned 50,000 acres, and a total of 62 crew members are working to fight the blaze. The flames are burning northeast of Jordan after starting around noon yesterday. The Garfield County Sheriff's Office was monitoring a landowner's burning project, but that burning project quickly got out of control. In Rosebud County, Ashland residents are back in their homes after the Rice and Snyder fires sparked yesterday afternoon. However, residents must remain prepared to evacuate again if the weather changes. So far, the Snyder fire, 20 miles north of Ashland, has burned nearly 32,000 acres. The Rice fire, 6 miles north of Ashland, has burned 12,000 acres. The fires are currently burning grass, sage, and timber. Now in Bighorn County, the Sarpy fire has grown to nearly 48,000 acres, but as of tonight, no structures are threatened. Crews have been working around the clock building fire lines as they take advantage of the cooler weather and low winds. The Northern Cheyenne tribe has an evacuation order from the reservation line east to Iron Bridge. The Sarpy fire reached Highway 212 2 miles east of Busby. Officials say it started around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon south of the Westmoreland Absolica coal mine. Yesterday, the fire burned 15 miles in just 7 hours. Well, Governor Bullock announced late this afternoon that the state will receive FEMA funding for the Huff, Bobcat, and the Rice and Snyder fires. Well, at the same time, the governor also said Montana will launch a new program to help businesses with economic recovery due to COVID-19. The Montana Working Capital Program will build off the Montana Loan Deferment Program. The program allows Montana businesses to take out a new loan up to $500,000, with 35% of it granted through coronavirus relief funds. Bullock underscored the program's ability to address some of the biggest and most crucial business expenses.
The Montana Working Capital Program will allow Montana businesses to take out a new loan to be used for payroll, employee benefits, lease or rent, inventory, utilities, and insurance.
Now, the program opens up for applications Tuesday, September 8th, and will be run by the Board of Investments in partnership with Montana banks and credit unions. Well, let's join Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire now to get a better look at what happened last night. Bob.
Yeah, kind of a bizarre deal. You know, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it wasn't too bad here in the Billings area, but by 6 o'clock, it was a totally different day. Let me show you how this all turned out. It started off with high pressure over there in Idaho, and it was just pushing some air into Montana. It was a little breezy, not too bad. Of course, we had the prescribed burns up there by Jordan, so that created some small fires there and a little bit of smoke. But then all of a sudden, we had a cold front push on through, and now the wind from the cold front combined with the breezy conditions from the high pressure cell, and that created some very strong gusty conditions. And also, it just as the cold front continued to move on through, it dropped all the way down and bringing a lot of the smoke along with it into the Billings area, and then eventually down into Wyoming, along with all the wind from the breezy conditions and the cold front. It just created some very strong gusty winds and also brought a lot of smoke into the region. So here's what it was. This is what it looked like. You notice it had 59-mile-per-hour wind gusts over Jordan at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, but by the time 8 o'clock got here, the whole thing was out of here and the winds were dying back down to the teens miles per hour, and that's how it all happened. Just two things coming together created a lot of smoke and wind and fire. And we'll have your forecast coming up next.
All right, thanks, Bob. Well, today, state health officials report 2 more deaths due to COVID-19 related illness and 184 new confirmed cases. Both deaths are in Yellowstone County, a man in his 70s and a man in his 90s. Cascade County is reporting the highest number of new cases today at 58, followed by Yellowstone County at 33. In total, the Treasure State has moved to more than 2,000 active cases. Total deaths now at 112. Well, today, the Yellowstone County health officer rescinded 2 health orders, opening the path for parents to watch their students compete and allowing some visitation in long-term care facilities. Today, John Felton addressed the community, confirming that he will rescind his orders for no spectators at high school sporting events. Felton instead will allow each school district to come up with its own plan. Riverstone Health will not approve any plan to have spectators at events, but Felton says health officials will give guidance and input on those plans. In the last week across Yellowstone County, 41.6 people each day have become infected with COVID-19. As for students, 61 children under 10 and 169 children between 10 and 19 are currently positive. Felton says he knows schools and sporting events are places of congregation and COVID spread.
Anytime people gather, it makes me nervous. I am taking people at their word that we've heard from. I've heard from many family members that they will do everything they can, masking, distancing, to keep their children safe and to keep each other safe. I'm going to take them at their word that they will do that.
At long-term care facilities, if there are not currently any positive cases, family and friends may now visit with their loved ones outdoors or through an open window 6 feet apart. Felton also stressed today that one of the biggest hurdles his team is facing is that potential contacts are not picking up the phone or even returning their phone calls as they trace cases. Well, as COVID-19 cases accumulate each day across Montana, some are wondering what constitutes a recovery in official reports and how that factors into the counting of active cases. Well, a spokesperson for the state health department tells us delays in updating active cases counts may arise when counties with high case numbers are not able to reconcile their data with the Department of Health and Human Services as often. During today's press conference, Health Officer John Felton explained how and when patients are determined to be recovered from the virus.
The person needs to be at least 24 hours without fever in the absence of the use of any fever-reducing medications like ibuprofen or acetaminophen or aspirin or anything like that. And they need to have some significant improvement in their respiratory symptoms, and they need to be at least 10 days since the onset of symptoms. If those 3 conditions are met, then the person is considered recovered and they're released from isolation.
Now, the Montana Department of Health and Human Services says the CDC does not require follow-up testing for individuals to be released from isolation. For more information on this topic, head to this story at ktvq.com. Still ahead on tonight's Q2 530 News, you say birthday, but today it is BERT-DAY. We take a trip to Zoo, Montana for a special celebration. And up next, this Labor Day weekend, why it's important to really be bear aware. Stay with us.